How's everybody doing? I hope this is clear. It's looking a little blurry on my end. But I hope you guys are doing well. You see in the title, it says your mindset is running your business. Your mindset is running your business. So there are seasons where, I just really get passionate about entrepreneurship. I mean, it's really my thing. And also abundance mindset, and I know how important it is to the business owner to adapt an abundant mindset, because your mindset is running your business. For instance, you will do a new thing, but you'll do it the same way you did the old thing, so you'll get the same results. And now you'll have two, three, four, five new things that are not functioning to its highest capacity, because the mindset by which you are doing it is the same mindset that you have from the other thing. So that other thing isn't maximized. That other thing isn't doing its full capacity or even a greater capacity. And so your mind says, this isn't going to work. Let me go do something else where I can now work even harder than I was before. And so I think what really sparked this conversation was seeing an owner post that they had worked 10 hours. Now, okay, let me start over. Well, I'm not going to start over. All that information that I just talked about is very valid as well. But let me do a quick introduction. Let me tell you why I qualify to speak about this into your life and into your business, because I know, that's important. You may be saying, who's this lady? Like, how is she qualified to talk about this with me? So I'm Tanya Wilson. I am a master life and business coach, and I owned a brick and mortar service-based business for about a decade before I started coaching and consulting. So the work that I do in the world, I help women to step into their personal power, grow and scale their business, and create a lifestyle they love. And a huge part of that personal power comes from who they're being, which is inclusive of how they're thinking, right? Their mind. I say all the time, your mind has a lot to do with your money and everything else you set out to do. But this impromptu live that I'm doing now, it's probably sparked, this is probably a the compound effect of several different things, but especially I saw someone, an owner in a service-based business. So I help coaches, I help those who have local brick and mortar businesses like I previously owned, those in the service industry to scale to six figures and beyond, grow their business to six figures and beyond. But what's super important to me about that growth track is that they're building a business that funds their lifestyle, not run their lifestyle. Because what I find most often, and many of the people who come to me for help are people who have built the business. They're earning a good salary, but they don't have time to really run the business. And so oftentimes they've actually created a bigger job for themselves. Like, going and punching a clock might be simpler because of all of the things that come with, building and growing a business. So many people come to me who are tired, they're burned out, or some are just on this growth track and they just want their next level. And, a part of the process that I do, I definitely include mindset work. And I knew when I first started bringing my coaching and consulting online, so I've been doing this full time now for maybe about 4 years total, full time. But I opened my consulting business in 2012. And so much has changed for me in that time frame as well. But I realized that irregardless of the strategy that I gave an individual, it did not matter if we didn't do some mindset shifting as well. And here's an example. So maybe I'll give someone a strategy that could potentially earn them, let's say, I'm going to use a real number that I'm thinking about with a client. Of course, I'm not calling any names or anything of that nature, but maybe the strategy is for them to earn $225,000 in a year's time frame with this particular strategy. And maybe the individual will go and they'll do that thing the one time and they'll get good results, and then they'll go right back to doing what they were doing before. Now, I know that as you are scaling and growing and doing different things, you still need revenue coming in, right? But if you take the mindset that you previously had and put it on a new strategy, this is why I say it's important to shift, right? But it's also important to have a new strategy with that shift. You need both, because if not, you will take this, you'll go back. So what our mind does when we are embraced with a new concept or with a new thing or a new way of being, our mind, our nervous system, everything has to calibrate to this new level. And so what often happens is, and this is why we may see hit or miss results in our business and in our life. And this is all of us, guys, right? Because what happens is our nervous system, our mindset, our thinking, it all has to catch up with this new thing that we are doing. And so what may happen is, while the energy is fresh and new, you may have those big wins, but your mind will calibrate back down to the level of scarcity or lack that it was currently operating in before. I hope this is making sense. Somebody let me know in the comments if this is making sense. And so instead of continuing from an abundant space, you'll toggle back down into there's some types of fear that may happen, because our brain was actually created to protect us from danger. Let's tell God thank you for that, right? Because if a bear is chasing us or something of that nature, it's important that our brain will register that this is danger. But oftentimes, a new thing that's more powerful, that's going to cause more transformation, that's going to cause a better quality of life, more ease and flow, the brain registers that initially as danger. It starts coming up with all the reasons why this thing isn't going to work. And then we go back down to what we felt was safe, although it wasn't safe, although it wasn't comfortable, although it's not what we desire, although we wanted a different level. If we aren't mindful, we will go back to that space. And also, sometimes, because we've been taught, right, that we need to work really hard and we need to just do a lot of stuff in order for things to manifest. And listen, you can manifest some things on that level. The issue comes with not being able to sustain it, right? It becomes, I'm putting out all of these fires either because I only got the answer on a very surface level, I didn't do the internal work, I didn't make a decision. I'm not really operating from an abundant mindset. I'm operating from desperation instead. So there's this story that I heard many years ago that I absolutely love. And it talks about this young boy who found this beautiful rock. And he takes it to his dad and he asks his dad, how much do you think I'll get from this particular rock? And his dad says, I want you to take the rock to a flea market. Obadiah, how are you, darling? Good afternoon. His dad says, I want you to take the rock to a flea market. I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to hold the rock up and hold up two fingers. So the boy takes the rock to a flea market and he just holds the rock up with two fingers, and someone says, I'll give you $2 for the rock, right? So the little boy just nods his head no, takes the rock back home to his dad, tells the dad what happened. He tells the dad, someone offered me $2 for this rock. his dad said, okay, I want you to take this rock to a museum. And, when they ask, can they help you, tell them you want to know how much you can get for the rock. And the museum said that they would give him $20,000 for the rock, right? The same rock that he took to the flea market. He takes his rock back home to his dad. He declines the offer, takes the rock back home to his dad, tells his dad. His dad said, now I want you to take the rock to a fine jewelry dealer. Immediately upon seeing the rock, the jeweler says, I'll give you $200,000 for that beautiful piece that you have. So the boy takes the rock back home to his dad. And his dad tells him, this is the same rock that you had before. The rock has not changed, right? What changed was where you took the rock. What changed, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, positioning is everything. And I'm sharing this because many of you have a level of value that you don't know yet, right? And so you're attempting to offer your products, your services, how you transform people's lives to the wrong people. Therefore, you're not getting your full value for what it is that you offer. But if you learn who you are as a brand, who your perfect people are, how to position yourself properly, that same item positioned differently will be seen by different people. Different people will be attracted to it who understand the value of it. That's one thing that I want to share with you all. Positioning. But one of the reasons why you haven't positioned yourself that way is up here. It's mindset. Whenever you yourself are still dealing or operating from any space of lack or scarcity, it will limit the actions that you take in your business. Excuse me. I went to a conference back in 2011 that changed my life. Literally changed my life. So the conference, it was only 3 days, was a couple $1,000s. $2,000 for the conference. Guys, do you know I learned what I can remember, that I could remember, because there were a lot of things taught at that particular conference. Now listen, I said 3 days, not 3 months worth of something, not a year-long opportunity, a few $1,000s. But what I learned at that conference changed my entire life. It is the reason why I'm before you today, coaching, teaching, training, because I received a level of clarity at that conference, that 3-day conference. Now, this was a few $1,000s over a decade ago. There are many people who struggle to invest in getting the right information for their business at that price range today, 10 years later. And what happens is they continue to piecemeal things together. And so what they're doing in their business is piecemeal. Listen, I'm just trying to give a valuable lesson. Yes, I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. And I do offer premium services. I understand that. But I do offer things for people who find themselves at different levels. But many of you are at a level that requires something different in the season. It just does. And whatever mindset you are operating your business from is the mindset that you'll grow your business. That's just what it is, right? And so your mindset will grow. It is what is growing your business. And so I challenge you, I invite you to step into a new space of abundance. Now, the thing that is often misinterpreted about abundance is that it's completely about receiving, but it's not. It's a full circle thing. It's about releasing and receiving. It's about the level that you're willing to go or to invest in your business. Listen, we grow our business a few ways, right? Time. We spend time, which may be years, trying to figure it out. Or we learn from the wisdom of others. That's another way, which collapses time. We increase our prices, right? We get more customers, and you decide the ease and flow of how you get to do this. But one thing is for certain, that is not going to change. And that's the fact that your mindset is running your business. No matter what you say, listen, I've had clients whose business earns $1 million who were struggling in the area of mindset, who struggled in the area of abundance. And so what they were doing, although they were really high earners, they could barely breathe because they were doing everything on their own. Everything. Until it got to the point where they said, I need some help. And I always, irregardless of what strategy I give my clients and customers, I always infuse mindset, because I understand that that significant piece is really running their business. I understand that irregardless of the strategies, your mind has a lot to do with your money and everything else that you set out to do. It was so important to me as I continued growing my business, and I want you all to hear me. My business name is Renew Full Circle, right? Because we tap into the wholeness of who you are as an owner, the wholeness of that, because that's what's running your whole you, who you are being, is running your business, is getting your results or not. It is. And so I just want to share with you today, don't overlook an awareness of the mindset that's really running your business. Like at certain levels, you can't DIY everything and want it and desire it to be successful. You will burn out. You'll burn out. And so that's my take on today. Just reminding you that your mind has a lot to do with your money, and everything else that you set out to do, everything that we're doing in life is coming from our mind. And when we're really elevating to a new level, we got to police those thoughts, because our mind will, the subconscious programming in our mind will send us back to doing things the way we were doing it before. And the only thing that happens is you may do a new thing, but get the same results. It's like moving to a new city, buying a new car, buying a new house, and eventually it all feels the same because we're the same. And so as we elevate and as we grow and as we step into, the goals and dreams that we have, there has to be a level of elevation about who we are, because we always bring us to the table, especially while we're building our business. That's my take on today for you all. For those of you who you're like, I know I need the full thing. I need a full circle experience, and you're really wanting to get to the next level of growth in your life and your business, connect with me here on this page. Message me after you see this training, and let's talk about how I can support you in that. I have different levels of opportunity for you, depending on where you are in your business, depending on how big your goals, dreams, and visions are, and what you're willing to do in this season, right? So one thing I don't do is put someone who's not ready in a premium offer. I've learned that over time, there have been people who could afford my services, but they weren't ready for them. Does that make sense? They weren't ready for them. Like even if they could pay it, they weren't ready to operate at that level. So I do have tiered offerings depending on, where you are. And we all are at different levels and have different areas that we need to operate in. But then I've had some people who they have the most amazing foundation. right? A gold mine. They have something that could be absolutely amazing, but there just needed to be a mindset shift. So wherever you are, connect with me here for those of you who are ready. I'd love to support you. Your mind is running your business. It's running your business.